this is Tiffany Almeida with Pretty and Paper Crafts, and I am coming to you today to show you our March Blends Club, which is all about coloring on vellum. So you can see here I have a card that's made with a vellum image that we're going to stamp and emboss with white embossing powder, and then we're going to color, and it creates a really pretty kind of glass, you know, like a glass mirror kind of image. So we're going to make this beautiful card, and then this one kind of have a side view of it, but it is a lantern card, and it lays open like so, and then you put a candle inside and you light up the image, and so it's really pretty, especially when the lights are dark, so it's kind of hard to see right now. But we're going to kind of make this like stained glass look with some vellum in the center. This is a really fun, fancy fold card. I'm going to show you two different ways to color the vellum. You can either stamp it with StazOn, which is why you see the black image here, or you can emboss it with white or other colors and then color behind it. So there's two different options that you have for this project. The stamp set that we're going to be using for this project is the Wonderful Romance stamp set. It's beautiful. The framelits unfortunately are now permanently sold out, but we still have this beautiful stamp set. You do not need the framelits. So I'm going to show you some beautiful projects using these. And the other thing that I really used a lot with this project was the rectangle stitched framelits. So you'll see that all the pieces are cut out with that rectangle stitched framelit. Okay, so first project we'll do is the card. This card here, and your project comes in an envelope. Now there is one thing that you're gonna have to be really, really careful of, and that is included in your kit is this friend framelit cut out, and there's this little eye dot, okay? So it should be in here, and just be really careful and try to find it. It's really, really small. So I needed to cut it out for you. I didn't really have a great way of keeping it safe, so just search for it and hopefully you can find it in your envelope. It should be there. All right, so there's two things we're gonna stamp, and the first thing is our vellum here, and we're gonna stamp that with the Versamark ink. Now, if you don't have Versamark, StazOn ink will work just fine. StazOn is our black ink. StazOn is what you wanna use with Versamark, or with vellum, because StazOn will dry and it won't smear. If you stamp this with Memento, it will just smear. So StazOn is the great ink to use for this. The other thing I did is I stamped the background, the purple piece, in Versamark to create like a watermark coloring effect in the background. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there is this watermark. Now, if you don't have Versamark, you can do the same colored image as the cardstock. So you could do Highland Heather if you don't have Versamark. But I will show you what it looks like with Versamark. So the first thing we want to do is stamp our image. So we have the big floral image, which is what we use in the vellum. And then we also have the leaves, which is what I used for the background. So we'll put these on some blocks. And we'll need a pretty big block for our big flower bouquet. This block is block E. So I have one block E and one block D for the smaller flower. Okay, so for the small flower, or for the small set of leaves, it's super simple. You're just going to ink it up with the Versamark and just stamp it along the edges so that the leaves stand out in the background. Okay, and like I said, if you want a more distinct image, you can use the Highland Heather and stamp the background in Highland Heather. I don't even know if you can see that on the camera. All right, the next thing, and also you have 3 pearls in your package, in your envelope, so make sure you put those so you aren't going to lose them. So the next thing we're going to do is ink up this image here, this big bouquet of flowers. And you're not going to get the entire bouquet on there, but that's okay. Just want to make sure it's good and inked because we are going to emboss with white embossing powder. Again, this is not necessary. So if you don't have white embossing powder, you don't have Versamark ink, you definitely can use Stays On Black ink, and that is a great alternative. So I'm just stamping this down real good here. Okay, so now I have this image, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my white embossing powder and my little tray here that catches all the powder, and I'm going to just pour the embossing powder onto my piece of vellum, and it's just going to stick to that Versamark ink. Okay, so we have our image, and we'll just pour this back into our little tub here. Okay, and then we need our heat tool. And use something to hold your piece down when you're using the heat tool so it doesn't blow away and it doesn't burn your fingers. Okay, so there is our image. Now we are not going to color on the side that we embossed. We are going to actually flip it over and color on the back side. And it's gonna look like a stained glass through the window, I guess. So I'm gonna put a dark piece of cardstock down just so you guys can see what I'm doing a little bit better. That just dawned on me that I should probably do that so you guys can see. The 4 colors of this month's club are your Mossy Meadow, dark and light, Calypso Coral, dark and light, Highland Heather, dark and light, and Mango Melody, dark and light. Now, it is up to you how you color your flowers. What I recommend, though, to give it a little bit of dimension, because yes, you can tell, is just by shading in like darker colors, tracing, you know, kind of doing the outline in the darker colors, and then coloring in the image with the lighter colors. And yes, they do blend. So, you know, I just find that it's a little bit more definition when you just maybe trace in the darker color and then color in with the lighter color. So right now I'm trying to just identify the leaves and coloring those in with the Mossy Meadow. Okay. And again, I'm just tracing with this dark Mossy Meadow first. And then I'll go back and fill up the images with the lighter Mossy Meadow. Okay. So I think that's pretty much good. So I'll take my light Mossy Meadow. I'm still going to do my fine tip just because it's not a lot of space to color and I don't want to go outside the lines. So I'm just going to kind of fill in these leaves. And then I can't wait to show you what it looks like on the other side. It's really, really cool how the color goes through. And let's see, this is a leaf. That's a leaf. So you're just going to color your flower. Again, it really doesn't matter what color you use, but then you can see the image coming through on the other side. It's a really, really cool. So then like I want my flowers, my big flowers to be purple to match the card base. So I'll do the big flowers in Highland Heather, and I'm just doing the dark in the centers, and then I'll do light around the outside. I'm just kind of blending those. It's really cool that you can kind of create this stained glass image with it. And then maybe you want to do the centers of your flowers in yellow and the Mango Melody, I should say. You know, maybe you want to do these little flowers in Mango Melody. And then maybe these little things you want in your Calypso Coral. And they're just like little dots. So really, however you want to color your flowers, but these are great flower colors. It's great for spring. And then of course we have the new Mossy Meadow, which is in the Occasions catalog. I love that they keep coming out with more blends colors. These blends markers are amazing. All right, so once you've got your colors in, you can turn over and see your work of art. That is so, so cool. So now we're gonna put our project together, which is super simple, not a lot to it. You're going to take your purple cardstock and you're gonna glue it down to your card base. So just put a few lines of adhesive and glue that down. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is we have this little frame, and this is going to frame our picture. And you will want to put this down. What I'm gonna do is take a little bit of liquid glue, and I'm going to just run a thin line around the inside of the frame. You don't want it thick and you don't want it too close because it will push out in front, and that would not be good. That'll be a sticky mess. So just pushing that down, rubbing it in. And like I said, not the whole image is gonna fit, but that's okay. What will show through will be really pretty. And I'm just rubbing this so that because I want all of that adhesive to stick and not move. And when I've made sure that it's all stuck down, I will flip it over. And then I'm going to put my friend here at the top, across the top. You can use your fine tip glue, which is this really, really fine point glue here. It's really runny glue, so you don't need to squeeze very hard at all. But it does take a while to dry. So if you are impatient like me, it's not always the best glue to use, but it is the least messy because you can get that really fine tip. And especially for that little dot we have to glue on. So then we'll just lay this across the top. And you just have to kind of hold it there for a minute because like I said, that liquid glue is not very tacky, so it does take a minute. And just hold that down, make sure that sticks. And then there's this little dot. I'm gonna put a little bit of adhesive on the back of it. And it even picked it up, which is great for me because I'm gonna just lay it down right where it needs to go. Okay, so that's it with the glue. Now we're gonna use dimensionals to put our frame on our card. Now you can do this, you can have it at an angle, you can have it straight up and down. This is completely up to you. This is your card. Make it the way that looks best for you. And you don't have to glue it down. You can test it. You can look it like this, and if you like it that way, or you can turn it straight if you like it that way. So you can play with it before you glue it down. And I am just going to put these mini dimensionals on the back of the frame. You don't want to go over the edge of the frame because it will be seen through the vellum. So just a couple mini dimensionals all along the edges here. And then you can peel the backing off. Lots of little backings. And then you can put this on your card. It's such a cool, neat little effect that vellum has. It's a very different look. It's really fun. And then I have provided you some pearls to accent your flowers. So if you want to put a pearl in the middle of your flower, or if maybe you want to put it around your card somewhere, or maybe you want a pearl for your eye instead of the little dot, you could do that. But you have some pearls to decorate your card with. And then I have done the liberty of tying your bow for you. You'll just need a little glue dot here. I have some glue dots left over from a paper pumpkin I've been using up. You'll just peel the backing off of that and stick the bow across your little bouquet. So right where your stems gather, like a natural bouquet, we will just put our little bow. And that is the card. It's super simple and really beautiful. Such a beautiful effect. If you haven't colored on vellum, you should definitely, well, you're gonna try it in this class, but you should give it a try with those blends. You can create some really pretty kind of stained glass looks with this. Okay, so card number 1 is down. Yay! Now card number 2, again, is this lantern card. So here are the things that come in your lantern card. And again, you'll have 5 pearls, so make sure you find those and don't lose them. You'll have 2 pieces of cardstock. They measure 4 by 11. They're scored at 2 3/4, 5.5, and 8 1/4. And they're both scored that way. Okay, and they fold out, in, and out. So it's a kind of a zigzag pattern. Oops. And you can see that on one side I have cut out for you 2 windows. So there's 2 stitched rectangle windows. Okay, and so to attach your cards, you're gonna put the 2 ends together, glue those 2 together, and leaving the middle sections unglued. But we're gonna do that a little bit later. The first thing we're gonna do is actually stamp our vellum. So you should have 2 panels of vellum. These are for these 2 panels with the flowers, okay? And I did this using Stays On Black ink. You could also use white embossing powder if you wanted, but I'll show you what Stays On Black ink looks like. Let me go ahead and clean off the Versamark. Versamark ink first. Just grabbing a baby wipe real fast. Okay, just want to get that sticky ink off and then we'll use the Stays On. All right. So here's our Stays On ink. And we're going to stamp 2 of these bouquets, and you can stamp them in different locations. So it looks like it's a different image, or you can stamp them the same so they can both look the same. It's completely up to you. So for example, if I want this bouquet to be up and down like this, you can do that. And then maybe I want this section to maybe show off the leaves a little bit. So I go like this. Okay, so it's really up to you how you want your panels to look. And then I'm going to clean off my stamp because Stays On, if you don't clean it off right away, it will stain your stamp. And you can see baby wipes work just fine getting that ink off for the most part, as long as you do it right away. Okay, so now we are going to, again, let it dry. It does need to dry. While it dries, let's go over to our card. And try to get this to lay flat again. And as you can see in this card, I have stamped in Versamark different flower images across the panel. And I didn't do the back, but you can. And then I stamped a sentiment here. It says, "You are the best thing I never knew I needed," which I thought was such a sweet sentiment. And the other thing you'll notice is I have some of this purple ribbon here. Well, this is the 1/8 inch Whisper White ribbon. We're gonna actually color it with our blends. Did you know you can color ribbon with blends? It's super easy to do, and the color is so bright and vibrant. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. So while our StazOn is drying, let's go ahead and stamp our images. Now this one I did in Versamark. This time I wanna use Highland Heather just to kind of show you the difference. The Highland Heather is gonna definitely be a lot darker. So this one, if you want that flower image to show up more, then definitely use the Highland Heather. So we're going to stamp this here. Like, see the difference, how dark it is compared to the Versamark. So only use this if you're sure that's, you know, as dark as you want it to show. You could also stamp off once and then stamp and it'll be lighter. There's lots of different things you can do. So we'll stamp there. Okay. And then I want to use this pretty leaf here. You can also use the flowers, the little polka dots. You can go all out with this set. There's beautiful, beautiful images here. Okay. So let's do one across the top here. And one here in the middle going up. And one coming here from the corner. Can you guys see that? Am I out of frame? And one coming in like so. Okay, so there's that. Then let's do our, just gonna clean this off. Let's do our sentiment in the StazOn black ink. So we'll get our sentiment out, just cleaning these off. So, you are the best thing I never knew I needed. Such a cute sentiment. Okay, and we'll take the leaf off. And get our StazOn ink out again. You are the best thing I never knew I needed. Such a sweet sentiment. Oh, I did it crooked. Oh well. So, there's our sentiment. It definitely doesn't stand out as much when the ink of the flower is that dark, but still looks good. And I like that I've been able to show you a couple different ways that you can do this with this pretty set. Okay, so we'll set that aside. Let's go ahead and color our ribbon, because then we can set that aside to dry while we color our vellum. So I'm going to use my dark Highland Heather blend, and I'm going to use the brush tip. And I'm just running it across the ribbon. And you can see just 2 swipes. Look how dark that gets. I'm going to turn it and do this side. Like so. Boom. And then we'll flip it and do the other side. Let's see. It's almost already just as dark as the other side. Hard to tell. Voila. And then you have this beautiful purple ribbon. So you can make any color ribbon with that. So fun. So we'll tie that on at the end. All right, so our our StazOn should be dry now. So we will flip these over to the back side. And I don't know if you can see on black if that looks better or not, but we'll try that. And then we have our, again, I'm going to start with the leaves. I'm going to do my Mossy Meadow and just kind of shade. That way the leaves kind of stand out a little bit. Just following the veins on the leaves with the dark. And you can kind of, use your imagination a little bit when you're coloring this. If you're not sure something should be a flower or a stem, you get to make that decision. That's your decision to make, which is pretty great, I think, because that means less mistakes, because it can be whatever I want it to be. All right, so then we'll go over with our light Mossy Meadow and just kind of shade these these leaves in. And on my first lantern project, I chose to do both sets a little bit different so that one side the big flowers were purple and one side the big flowers were yellow. You can do them all the same. You can do them different. It's completely up to you. And that's also what I think is pretty neat. Again, I am just coloring what I think are the leaves. I think pretty much everything is a leaf. If I'm not sure, it's a leaf. It's becoming a leaf. So you just color those in. Again, blends just make it so easy, you guys. Coloring has never been such a breeze and so enjoyable. Okay, so there's the leaves on that side. Then we'll go over here and do them again. And the cool thing about this one is that it has kind of a second kind of wow factor to it when you put that candle behind it. It just makes it that much more eye-catching. Kind of cool. I hope that this class has been of value to you and that you've gained confidence in your skills, that you've learned new things, that you've tried new things that you wouldn't have normally tried. I want this class to have been of value to you, so I hope I have been successful at that. And shown you some fun new techniques. I know that I have enjoyed it because for my local gals, it's been fun to see them grow and their confidence grow and their coloring and they're trying new things. But also, I have been trying new things because I want to try it for you, see if it's something, you know, we can learn together. So I hope you found it to be a blessing. And then I'm going to color my little flowers Melon Mambo this time. Is that what I called them? No, Mango Melody. Melon Mambo. Mango Melody. Our little ones are going to be Mango Melody this time. And I'll do my other flower in the Calypso Coral. So just doing these little dots here. Lots of little dots. Okay, and then Calypso Coral, we'll do these little flowers. I guess they could be leaves, but I see them as flowers. Okay, so then we'll flip them back over and we have our image that we can see through the stays on. Look at that, so cool. And then we're going to put them on the panels of our card. So again, with the liquid glue, we are just going to, oh gosh, now I'm confused as to which side. Okay, that's the back. There we go. Okay, so let's use our liquid glue. Just do a thin line around. Don't want to get it too far away. Don't want to get it too close. Really, really careful with the liquid glue. All right. So the side that has the darker black is the outside, and the side that has the lighter black is the inside. So darker black goes on the outside. And again, you'll just want to hold that down. Make sure it glues. Darker side on the outside. And I got some glue on the outside, so I'm gonna have to take my eraser and erase that adhesive. And the reason that I have to do this is because when it closes flat, I don't want the inside of the card to stick to itself. So again, just be really careful with the glue so that doesn't happen to you. Okay, so again, just making sure this is stuck down real well. And then I'll show you the front. There's our front image, really cool looking. And then we're going to glue these two panels together. So I'm going to use liquid glue, and you just want to put adhesive on these two outside panels up to that first score line on both sides. Okay, because you don't want the inside to glue. So I am just going to put these two sides together, making sure that my edges line up, and glue that down. And then gluing these two edges together, like so. Making sure they're good and glued down. Okay, and then you can push them together like so. And make sure they fold flat. Mine doesn't quite fold flat, but close. Okay, and then we'll tie our ribbon. And look, my StazOn still isn't quite dry. You're gonna have to be really careful with that. Yeah, see, mine's smearing. So mine still isn't quite dry. So be super careful with the StazOn ink. You might even need to take the heat gun to it and dry it before you start touching it, because I am spreading black ink everywhere I go. So be really careful with that. And then last but not least, you can either tie a bow if you have enough string, or you can tie a knot like I did in my other card. I don't think I have enough to tie a bow, so we'll just tie a knot. Like so. And we'll just cut the ribbon away. And voila, you have this beautiful card. Very floral, very pretty card. And as you can see, I want to show you the two differences again. Here's the darker version with the Highland Heather, and here's the Versamark version. Oh, I forgot to decorate. I got to decorate with my pearls. So again, like I said, you have 5 pearls, which should be enough to cover your images. Oops. It's really hard to do when it's not laying flat. I have to take the candle out so I can do this. There we go, and one over here, and one right down in the side corner here. There we go. All right, so there are the 2 projects. Super simple, right? I hope you enjoyed coloring on vellum and that you learned something new. And as always, I'm here if you have questions or need anything. And I'm really excited for next month, our last Blends Club. Oh, thank you guys so much. See you next time. Bye.